Tongues are already wagging over the alleged uncertainties about the conduct of the 2023 elections. This is consequent upon the observations made by Professor Abdullahi Abdul Zuru, who is the chairman, board of the Electoral Institute, a training arm of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, in Abuja, at the validation of election security training resources. The primary reason for expressing such is the occurrence of some security breaches, which he said, if not decisively handled, might lead to cancellation or postponement of the polls. The electoral body at different fora had decried waves of attacks on its offices and facilities nationwide. Following this clarification by INEC, should there be any cause for alarm? Is the reply in the affirmative or not? That is the focus on Nigeria today. I am Eucharia Clinton. Welcome. Two gentlemen will now join us to analyze the context leading to this issue. First is Chris Ajeri. He is the Director General, the Flag Foundation of Nigeria. Good to have you on the program.
Thank you very much. Good evening, Nigerians.
And the second guest is a regular on the program, Jide Ojo, who is joining the program via Zoom. He's a public affairs analyst. Welcome to the program.
Good evening, Nigeria. Good evening, Nigerians. Good evening, Africa. It's a pleasure to be on your program. Happy New Year.
I'll start with you, Jide. You had, the introduction, is it imperative to take the observations raised by Professor Abdullahi Zuru seriously, or should we just see them as mere skirmishes?
Truly speaking, the situation is worrisome. It's very dicey. Today is 45 days to the general elections. This date was announced over 2 years ago, revalidated after the signing of the Electoral Act in February of 2022. So we are down to 45 days as of today, and the signs are ominous. Not only in terms of attack on INEC facilities, which has recorded over 50 in the last 3 years. There are also undesirable elements who are also hell-bent on derailing the peaceful conduct of this 7th general election in the 4th Republic. How do I mean? INEC chairman some weeks ago was dragged to the court over claim of false asset declaration. This was reminiscent of how the then former Chief Justice of Nigeria, Honorable Justice Walter Onogen, was removed ahead of 2019 elections. This character took INEC chairman to court, claiming that he falsely swore to his asset declaration form with the Code of Conduct Bureau. Recall that these asset declaration forms are confidential. So you ask yourself, how did this guy got access to the INEC chairman's asset declaration form as to warrant him going to court, asking INEC chairman to recuse himself, to step down, and for him to be barred for 10 years from holding public office on the eve of an election? Thankfully, the learned judge has declined and said that INEC chairman asset declaration form is in order, and therefore dismissed the suit. Just last Wednesday, there have also been groundswell of opinion trying to disallow INEC from using the bimodal voter accreditation system device, popularly known as beavers. Why do some desperate politicians not want this to be used? Because that device is the game changer for 2023 elections. And some people have gone to court trying to stop INEC from using beavers for voter accreditation, as well as even for uploading of results into the INEC result viewing portal. So when you add all of this together in Kenya, the Syria attack on INEC offices, the attempt to remove INEC chairman, the attempt to also frustrate the use of beavers, it calls for worry because eternal vigilance is said to be the price of liberty. If action is not taken, we may be back to what happened in 1993, when some elements used the instrumentality of the court to derail that credible 1993 presidential election. And that's what we don't want. So the alarm raised by Professor Zuru is quite in order. And it is also heartwarming that the presidency, through the Minister of Information and Culture, has come out yesterday to debunk any attempt to derail the 2023 general election. Alhaji Lai Mohammed has said that the election will hold as scheduled and that the federal government will do all within its power to guarantee security.
Thank you, Mr. Jide. Thank you very much, Mr. Chris Agere. You had a lot of things you talked about there, and you have been a passionate and about this election, and you've been a keen observer of this election. So, what are your observations, in regard to what the professor?
Well, you see, the professor tied it up. He used the word "if," not decisively tackled.
Yes.
The issues raised by Jide are also of concern. But in every election cycle, there's always challenges. So this will not be different. That's the underlying factor, that's giving birth to these things that were happening here. But one thing is should be a game changer here. We have a sitting president. I've always vowed to bequeath the country a free, fair, and credible election. He's the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. The buck stops on his table. On one hand, he signed the Electoral Act that have given birth to the beavers, which will change the entire equation. And the president himself is a beneficiary of free, fair, and peaceful election. So he owes it a duty to himself, to posterity, to Nigerians, to ensure that what he inherited, he hands over Nigeria after a peaceful election. All these challenges are not insurmountable. One, the president's position, his body language have not shown that he is favoring one candidate or another, though he's a party man. That's on one hand. Nigerians, mostly the youth, you can see what is happening. The youth that suddenly woke up from sleeping slumber, everybody talking about the election. There are two things here. Nigerians must take their destinies into their hands. Enough of buck passing. A lot is expected from INEC, security agencies. Here are the people. Power belongs to the people. Sovereignty belongs to the people. It is high time that Nigerians themselves takes over both INEC infrastructure and everything associated with INEC, including INEC personnel, including the security agents, to ensure that, look, here we are. The people must rally around. Everything that has to do with this election, this passion to vote, must translate into action, or the people waking up to say, look, those who are fomenting trouble, enough is enough. We will not make room for that. Politicians, you see, because from speaking from my experience as a field observer, that I've seen the introduction of the beavers in the 3-4 off-season elections in Anambra, FCT here, Ekiti, and Oshu. The beavers system makes an election a a free and peaceful one. There is no room for violence during the election because of the beavers. It makes the entire process seamless. So these politicians who are raising doors here and there, for the first time, they are entering into an election where the sitting president, you can't read his body language where he's teaching to us. He has consistently said he is going to bequeath a free, fair, and a credible election. Here you have an electoral system as where technology will be deployed that makes it difficult for anybody to rig. They're entering into an election where by now they don't know what to expect. They don't know what will happen. Elections before this time, from 99, core politicians, those in control of power and authority, who can tell you how the results of the election. They know how to manipulate. But this time, there is no room. They don't know how to manipulate the system. So there is fear and apprehension. And so they are fomenting trouble. And I'm calling on Nigeria and say, look, enough is enough. We don't make room for that. We don't allow politicians to continue to hit the system in order to have their way. It's not going to happen this time.
Okay. Now, Mr. Jide, you of course he mentioned a lot about what is on ground, and there's a lot of fear on the side of the politicians, even though the minister has said that there's no cause for alarm. But do you think that the electoral umpire should do more, to ensure that we have a peaceful election? Okay. We apologize for that. But right now, let's take a break and listen to a section of Nigerians on their concerns over the 2023 elections as put together by Suleiman Abdul Wahab. Don't go away.
As far as I'm concerned, I will pray to God that I will not have a son or a daughter that will participate in as such. Because any youth that takes it upon itself to go and be burning the INEC office is also burning his future.
If you look at it from the 2015 election, that was how there was speculation, the election would not hold this, and you see the election came and it passed. For every election, there will be tension.
I mean, speculations alone right now are making people do all kinds of things. So imagine if it actually happens and the elections are postponed. I think Nigerians are eager to head to the polls. And I feel like anything that stifles that right now may not necessarily be good news for us.
The elites might have something to do with that. Maybe they want to rig, or that's mainly what causes election postponement, rigging.
I don't know how some people, but sometimes the politicians too, they contribute a lot by causing troubles and the rest. So I think
as far as INEC is concerned too, there are many provisions that are already there for preventing this kind of thing to happen. They have to also up their own games. There are many security forces to be appealed to be used, and to also monitor whatever thing that is going on. Some of the time, some people internally are also part of the people that are collaborating with people to come and do nefarious activities.
Welcome back. The issue today is dispelling concerns over 2023 elections. Our guests are still very much with us. But before we go back to Jide Ojo, I want to come to you, Mr. Chris. You heard what one of the respondent there said.
Yes.
He said the elites, which is of all the politicians,
That's right,
could have something to do with this. In other words, probably he's talking, it might be a false alarm.
So, yeah, that's one thing. The social media and the information network generally, it's in this area of this degree of political activism. 90% of people that post something has an agenda. Whatever they post in the social media have the agenda. Some are pro-government, some are anti-government, some are for personal reasons, some are for fraudulent purposes. The bloggers will post anything to raise alarm and get traffic on their blog, on their YouTube or something, you know. The fraudsters will post things that will, because they want to make money. So whatever information that comes, I challenge the media and their fact-checking apparatus to straighten it. Whatever that comes should be properly checked. But what I want to assure Nigerians is that all the alarm and the fears raised, the prophets of doom and disaster about the election, this is normally how it happens. But this particular election, Nigerians must take ownership. In fact, I have advocated that anywhere INEC office is situated, the youth in that area, the traditional ruler in that area, the local government chairman, the stakeholders in that area, including political parties, should form a vigilante to guide all INEC infrastructure nationwide. Then, much pressure on INEC is not going to be, it's not good at all, because the proper election management to deploy resources and men in 176,846 polling units on the election day, it's not a small thing.
Okay, Mr. Chris, I'll stop you right there to allow Mr. Jide to respond to the question. Do you think there's still much INEC can do or should do to ensure that we have a peaceful, free, fair, credible election?
INEC is doing all that is expected of it to do. That's why it's raising alarm, because for those of us who work in the area of democracy and good governance, and who has followed the trajectory of electoral management in Nigeria in the last 24 years, we do know that INEC alone cannot guarantee credible and peaceful elections. There are over 8 other stakeholders that need to work with INEC to ensure peaceful and free, fair, credible elections. There is Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security. Over 20 security agencies are in this Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security, which is headed by the National Security Advisor and co-chaired by INEC chairman. This has become a standing ad hoc, a standing committee that has been meeting frequently to ensure election security. And even the forum where the Professor Zuru made that claim, it was at a validation of election risk management workshop, which means INEC also has developed some manual to train its officials on election security. So INEC, working with Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security, working with the media, working with civil society organization, working with the judiciary and the electorate, have all of us, including the National Assembly, have a role to play. For instance, it's the National Assembly that appropriated the funds for the conduct of the election. And it is for the executive to ensure compliance with Section 3, Subsection 3 of the Electoral Act 2022. We talked about funding for the election being with the electoral management body at least 1 year to the election. We know that INEC is in receipt of 305 billion from the 2022 budget, an additional 140 billion or thereabout, 147 billion, according to the Minister of National Planning last week. So if the INEC has resources, INEC has developed a manual on election risk management, and INEC is working with the Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security. And like my brother Chris said, if we as electorate can also protect INEC facilities in our communities, ensuring that we mount vigilance to ensure that unscrupulous elements do not have access to INEC offices to burn them, then we will be playing our role to ensure peaceful and credible elections. So it's not only in the INEC's hand, it is in our collective responsibility to ensure peaceful and credible elections.
Jide, now, he has raised a pertinent issue. The INEC are doing what they should do to ensure that we have a credible election. Now, how can politicians and political parties complement the effort of INEC and security agencies to ensure that this election will succeed, as in we have it under a secured atmosphere?
The politicians and the political parties are not helping matters, and they are the direct benefactors of this election that we're going into. They are confronted and faced with their electioneering and all the rest of them. They are the necessary cooperation, the necessary information dissemination, sensitization that is expected from the political parties as institutions and stakeholders is not forthcoming. They are really planning and strategizing on how they win elections, but then which is a minus. But be that as it is, it's a call to duty on every Nigerian, no matter your political affiliation, that look, this election, your future as Nigerians is dependent on this election. So you must join hands together with INEC, with every other person to ensure that it works. A lot, we keep calling the security agents. For God's sake, what is the population of all uniformed men in Nigeria, all put together, from the military to the police and all that, and all put together? And look at what is the population of the country and landmass. For the security agents to succeed in securing the security of the election, we need to give them maximum support to enable them do their job.
Yes, we have a part to play in intelligence.
Of course, we have intelligence gathering, in physical cooperation, physical support in all ramifications. In fact, for me, going forward, everything about this election should be approached like a war situation. In a war situation, you are conscripted against your will. Not only that it is a call to duty, a patriotic service, this particular one, in view of the state of the nation currently, is a unique one. So in other words, all Nigerians must see themselves, it's not a matter of life or death, but see that, look, this is where our destiny, let's take our destiny in our hands and protect it by doing all that is necessary and legally allowed to ensure that the election succeeds, including taking serious steps to give all necessary information to the to the security agents against criminals, and including the youth themselves, shying away from being used as a tool in the hand of the politicians. The average politician, all he wants is to win an election. It doesn't matter how he wins it. But this time around, the device, as a game changer, is bringing about a level playing field in the electoral process.
Thank you very much, Chris. So, Jide, what's your final words? Any word of assurance to Nigerians?
My final word would be that politicians who has been largely fingered as being responsible for this tension should speak to themselves and tone down their rhetorics and be alive to their responsibility. They signed a peace accord on September 29, 2022. They should respect that peace accord. Those of them who are responsible for sponsoring of arson and the frivolous cases in courts against INEC and its activities should stop. Because if they they have the capacity to derail, and then the judiciary must be alive to its responsibility to ensure that they do not give politicians opportunity to derail this democratic project.
Thank you very much.
Important.
And that's it. All hands must be on deck to ensure we have a free, fair, and credible election. And that's it on Nigeria Today. We sincerely appreciate our guests, Chris Agiri, Director General, the Flag Foundation of Nigeria. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
And also Jide Ojo, a public affairs analyst. Your usual cooperation is highly appreciated. Thank you.
My pleasure.
And to our esteemed viewer, thank you for staying with us. Don't forget, you can watch Nigeria Today weekdays at 7:30 p.m. on NTA News 24. You can also watch this and other episodes on www.youtube.com/NTA News 24. I am Eukaria.